We're back with our political roundtable. Becky Quick of CNBC, Al Hunt of Bloomberg News, and Michelle Norris of NPR. Welcome all. Becky, first time on the program.
Thank you for
having me. Glad to have a
It's
new
great
voice
to be
here. Thank you very much. I want to start on this issue of housing because the debate has been so fast and furious this week. And Al Hunt, I have to say, I was struck. Governor Christ, the governor of Florida, second highest foreclosure rate, he is still not necessarily on board with this plan to up the refinancing, lowering the standards for refinancing, and offering a reduction in payments for people who have real dangers now of foreclosing. That to me is striking.
Yeah, it is, David. He rather equivocated. I think he left open the fact he may come back on Tuesday suddenly find wisdom in the plan. Look, it's really tough stuff. 3 million people have lost their homes. 6 million are threatened. There's some people say, why should we reward bad behavior? On the other hand, my house may be fine because I financed it 20 years ago, but if the house next door is in trouble, that means my property values are going down, not to mention the 6 million people could lose their jobs. So it's really tough. Does Obama, has he come up with a perfect plan? I suspect not. Few plans are. But I am struck by the range of experts who think it's a workable and a good plan, ranging from CEOs like Jamie Dimon all the way to the consumer advocates on the housing side. So I would say most people would give him a pretty good grade for a good start.
And I think we should frame this correctly, which is that the White House view here is that additional foreclosures is terrible for the housing market because it pulls down that market, pulls down prices further. And they believe that majority of people here would be refinanced if they are at risk of foreclosure, and that it's important to do that again for the general health of the housing market. But there is some significant disagreement on the merits. Rick Santellis was on Becky's program Squawk Box this week. He's a trader in Chicago, an on-air editor for CNBC. And this is what he said about this effort to modify payments, reduce payments this week. Watch.
How about this, President and new administration? Why don't you put up a website to have people vote on the internet as a referendum to see if we really want to subsidize the losers' mortgages, or would we like to at least buy cars and buy houses in foreclosure and give them to people that might have a chance to actually prosper down the road and reward people that could carry the water instead of drink the water? How many of you people want to pay for your neighbor's mortgage that has an extra bathroom and can't pay their bills? Raise their hand. How about we all? President Obama, are you listening?
One person who was listening was the White House press secretary, Robert Gibbs, who took on Santellis by name from the podium.
I would encourage him to read the president's plan and understand that it will help millions of people, many of whom he knows. I'd be more than happy to have him come here and read it. I'd be happy to buy him a cup of coffee. Decaf. Let me do this too. This is a copy of the president's home affordability plan. It's available on the White House website, and I would encourage him, download it, hit print, and begin to read it.
Well, I have read the plan from top to bottom, and the reality, Becky, is that Mr. Santellis' criticism is shared by a lot of people who think that it, A, is fundamentally unfair to subsidize people who may have misrepresented their income, gotten in over their heads, they owe what they owe. There's also real questions about whether modifications work. 50 to 60% of modifications end up in a redefault. That's a fact.
It is, and we spoke with Jim Lockhart this week. He is the head of OFEO, which oversees Fannie and Freddie. He said that they're hoping that 40% of these people that they help out won't fall into foreclosure anyway. That's just what they're hoping at this point. When Rick was talking, I mean, if you watch him on a daily basis, he does stuff like this all the time. He yells about Wall Street getting a bailout. He yells about 10-year Treasury prices on a regular basis. But the reason this probably picked up steam is he touched a nerve that lots and lots of people around the country are feeling. They feel like the ants who are now being asked to take care of the grasshoppers. Now, there were probably some ants that were out there working all summer too, and you feel bad if they got stuck out in the rain, but there are people who are just angry about the idea that people lied on the mortgage applications and that they're going to get bailed out.
We're talking about subprime loans, Alt-A loans, which are known as liar's loans. Michelle, the White House position is, what's wrong with Santellis' argument is, doing nothing is not a good option.
And it goes to what Al was saying earlier. If I've paid my mortgage on time, made great sacrifices to do so, took on an extra job, sold a car, I played by the rules, why does this person down the street get this federal funding? Well, if their house goes into foreclosure, it affects the value of my house and every other house on the block. That's the argument that they make. The reality is, though, when the economy turns sour, usually we turn to jobs, and that's the sort of indicator of the strength or the weakness of the economy. Right now, the housing market is the beating heart of the economy, and if they don't fix the housing market, everything else will just continue to tumble south. I mean, you know, in talking about the people who maybe misrepresented themselves on a loan, the other big question is the lenders. You know, they will be receiving federal money also. Well, lenders who wrote bad loans, knowingly wrote loans to people that they knew would be unable to make these payments once the balloon hit 2-3 years out, well, they get federal funding. Gibbs's reaction this week was an indicator of just how sensitive they are right now to the fact that they have got to make a major sales job right now. The fact that he spent so much time at that briefing talking about this rant on cable television shows that they know.
And it's not just housing. It is saving the banking industry generally.